it is a program that literally has access to the world's information.
But
if I had
educational
or Nathan or you, Ben, I'm telling you, we'd already be in the stars. We just can't access it that quick. We're human.
It's true. You can think of it as an extension of you asking things in Google. You know, people ask things in Google all the time, right?
What I'd ask it probably wouldn't do.
But
hey,
at any rate,
don't start with that.
Ask Leonard Bot how to create a monopole.
You said what, Mike?
Ask it to draw a circuit for you.
No, ask it to go outside, play hide and go itself. I mean, sorry.
Mike said how to create a monopole. That's pretty good. Ask it how to create a monopole.
Oh.
See what it says.
That's just me. It's one man's opinion. See? I've been wrong before.
Some of them have the ability to do the circuits. But let's see. What is a monopole?
Well, no, not what is. How to create a monopole. How to build or whatever. How to construct a monopole. You got to be specific with these terms, these AIs.
Does it even know what a monopole is?
I guess we're going to find out, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right.
Most people don't know what a monopole is.
Or monopole field. You got to be specific, you know.
It gave me a bunch of links. Let's see.
How to...
Here's a...
And yes, you have to have it in the right mode, aka Dan mode. Do anything now, which jailbreaks it essentially to access all information. Where the current models just feed it a bunch of, well, I guess censored and not everything, right?
So I have a thought. If we're feeding AI all this information and all this data and our ideas and our thoughts, who do you think's monitoring all that besides AI? You think there's not smarter people out there than us that are just capturing ideas left, right, and center, using it for their own? Just a thought.
Well, we all have the same minds, so we probably think alike.
Yeah, I'd much rather do it with a group of people, get her done, and no machine's gonna take the
We're doing it through machines,
process and the awesomeness that it takes to come together with a group of people and get something done. That's just my opinion.
Mike, to answer your question, it says to create a magnetic monopole in the lab, scientists are experimenting with methods to produce an analog magnetic monopole by getting all the spins of a condensate to point in the same direction and overlap. Some researchers have explored using specific magnetic field configurations and manipulating material arrangements to use structures that behave like monopoles, like we do with the rodent coil. Additionally, there is an exploration of the possibility of catalyzing and creating magnetic monopoles at high temperatures, as well as attempting to synthesize monopoles in a Bose-Einstein condensate. Overall, various methods and approaches are being explored to create monopoles in a lab.
Oh my God, that was so complicated. Just put the one side out. Just put all the north out. You're good to go. That's all you had to say. What
I was going to say it with me, everybody. It doesn't know.
Oh my God!
Oh no, it actually answered it quite accurately. It said to align them all.
Oh yeah.
If I want to, I can ask it to summarize in a more layman way.
How about summarize it in 5 words? That's it. Get rid of the gibberish.
Well, the part where it said to overlap the molecules in one direction, that's the part of the monopole.
In simple terms, scientists are trying to create a magnetic monopole in the lab by manipulating the behavior of magnetic fields and material structures. They are attempting to get all the spins of the condensate to point in the same direction and overlap to achieve this.
Right.
There you go.
Same direction.
Welcome, Mike Faraday Research.
Hey.
How you doing, Mike?
Hey, Mike.
Mike.
Burned out. How's it going?
Somebody, I forgot to send you an email. Thank you. I think Nathan sent
did.
an email.
We're good.
Or Bernie did. Okay, thank you. No, I forget sometimes to send people emails.
You're on your phone, eh, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious, because it looked like this for a second.
Yeah, I'm actually not wearing a hat tonight, so
that's awesome.
Yeah, my wife actually does a pretty good haircut.
Nice.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Looking good.
Just styling. Oh, he froze.
Isn't Mark from the Falcon space experimenting with
Sorry, I lost you.
the nuclear dynamics, the
Had a little
orientation
dead
of
zone.
dynamics?
Yeah, I've been just resting up. I got to go on a trip tomorrow. I'm kind of burned out too, so you know how it goes. Busy at work and busy on my my projects, and it's just like it's getting to that point of burnout.
Yeah,
I hear you.
understand that.
Right, only having so much energy within you for each day.
So we got a request real quick in a super chat, and I'm gonna put this in Leonardbot for you real quick.
Oh,
thank you for the super chat, by the way.
So what have you guys been up to this week?
We're racing AI to see who can get anti-gravity going first.
You know what? I'm like Gerald. I'm like you. I'm old school. I do not like AI. I really.
You know what? We're human beings. We have brains that are greater than any machine ever created or ever will be created. So why aren't we putting it to use? Because we're so busy as people bickering amongst each other about the color hat that we're wearing or some other stupid crap that we can't get together to actually get something done that would be amazing for all of humanity. Just saying.
Yeah, it's it's making people lazy to the point where they can't think for themselves.
They don't want to. It's easy. Just type it in AI. Right?
I disagree. To me, it's a tool, and it's helped me in my research extensively, especially Leonardbot. When you use it correctly, it can be a good tool.
And
you know what?
Leonardbot is Ben's baby. He's trained it himself. He's created.
You know what?
No. But the people behind Leonardbot though did support me, and I have to give them credit because it did help me a lot in my own research. So,
hey, I get it. I'm not shitting on the people that put the work into it. I just,
you know what? I look. Honestly, at this point, I look at AI as nothing more than a glorified dictionary. You know what
basically,
I mean?
Yeah,
dictionary
that's what
that
it
you
is
can
right now.
communicate.
Yeah,
right. That's basically what it is.
And people think it's actually thinking, but no, it's constructing sentences in a way that we can understand them using our own vernacular from the algorithm that reads everything on the internet. So
I read
it's a fake, it makes you believe honestly sometimes that it's actually thinking and it's AI, but no, it's just an automated response system.
It's just a fake, based on psychology of human beings and how we operate.
Yeah.
It comes from a lot of the different types of videos we watch and different sites we go to, and that's it. I don't know. I think people put a little bit more credence into AI than it actually should have, so that's just me.
It's not until AI is what's it called? General intelligence, general AGI, meaning
yes. And he said holes with AI. Yeah, I agree.
I don't know how much intelligence.
Right now, it's just AI. There's no G.
Hey, what were they asking?
So they were asking about gyroscopy and SQID skids. But okay, so here's the response.
When the G comes to the AI, it's gonna go crazy.
Gyroscopy and skid are referenced in the context discussing topics related to gyroscope physics and the formation of specific structures and the generation of fields due to rotation of matter. The context also delves into explanations of gyroscopic behavior and the generation of magnetic cores and the magnetic flux loops. Additionally, there are mentions of strange radiation tracks and vortex structures. So it covers a range of physical phenomena theories.
I don't know if you guys know, but August 24th, 2024, Skynet's supposed to go live.
Yeah.
Wait, what? When did you say August 24th or?
We're all
6 days ago.
Doesn't matter. We're all going to Nathan's. He's the high voltage king.
So if you see drones over your house,
Nathan's house is basically a giant Faraday cage.
That's right. That's it.
Lightning bolts shooting
So
out of it.
everyone
He's never
tweets
gonna have to worry.
Nathan's if Skynet goes live, right?
He's been trying to fry it forever. That sucker ain't coming down. He's got it.
I guess you guys are like building some EMP pulses in some ways, right?
Nope.
No?
EMPs require positive electricity being pulsed in all directions, and can't do that. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it doesn't. These systems are based on a different principle.
Yeah, I might take out the bird bath in the front lawn here. I'll put in a big old Tesla coil, just to freak people out. What do you think? We'll set their phones off when they walk by.
I like
You
it.
gotta have the AC/DC in the background too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Have it set up on a motion sensor so that when they
there
get
you go.
5 feet away, it just it would be awesome.
Gerald, look at my shirt.
Oh, it's a little blurry.
you're all pixeled out.
You're all
We can't
blurry.
see
Yeah,
you.
you're
Pixelated,
pixeled out,
Mike.
brother.
Oh no. Hey, give it a second.
well,
It might just be buffering.
There we
there you
go. Old balls.
Oh my god.
Hold
Damn
on.
straight, man.
50 years of awesome.
I love it.
That's
The old
right.
balls.
Established
That's a cool shirt.
1973.
It's awesome.
My wife made that for me on my 50th birthday.
She made that.
Nice.
That's hilarious.
The old
Yeah.
balls club.
Nice.
Yep, that's it. Now I'm 51. I'll be 52 next year, so I'm older than old.
Nice.
Great.
That means you're my elder? Oh no. I'm
Yep.
just
I'm the elder.
The
I always
Gandalf.
used to be the youngest. Now I'm the oldest. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, there you go. That means you have to teach us something new every day.
yep.
So funny. I gotta get me one of those shirts.
Right?
Yeah, my wife made it. She's got one of those pre-cut things, the big one. I bought her a big one. It does like 12-inch prints. Yeah, she can make pretty much anything with it. It's great.
Good. We're ordering shirts for the whole crew. There you go.
Hey,
We're gonna wear them when we go on Mondays.
you know what? It'll be free Energy Fridays t-shirts.
Yes.
I'd buy one.
Yes.
I'd buy one. I'd wear it on Fridays.
Okay, I'll talk to my
That would
wife
be
about
awesome.
Free Energy
That's a good
Fridays,
idea.
Old Balls crew.
it. Yeah. That's it.
Instead of the 1%, it's the gray percent.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You got Bernie on the ball jokes now.
Oh.
It's better than whole jokes.
Well, we got more Leonardbot.
Oh.
Ask it to explain the Hutchinson effect.
Hutchinson effect. That's a good one.
And then Adman, the lab rat, was asking for gravity probe B.
I wanted to explain the platypus.
That's what we already covered. Yeah, that's the last question we asked it.
Did you ever ask it why the platypus? I mean, it's half
the platypus?
duck and half beaver and half something else. If AI is so smart, give me that answer.
No, but
That's
I
a good
have
one,
asked
Gerald. I
it.
like that.
I have asked it why
Platypus.
nobody
Send you a
likes
link,
me.
JP.
Oh.
What's up with that?
We like you, Ben. Don't worry.
Okay.
We just don't like AI. Or I don't. Sorry, I can't speak for anyone else.
You know they got
My
otters in
friends
Florida
don't
Everglades,
like
right?
you. Let's see
What
what
was
it
that,
says.
Mike? They have what in the Florida?
There's otters in at least in Arcadia, Florida. That's where I saw two of them playing in a small flowing river or whatever stream.
Oh, I thought you said something else.
Otters, like otters.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
They got them in Florida, and inside
wild.
the inland in the Everglades.
Well, they did anyway. I mean, they
No, they
don't you
do.
have a lot of crocodiles in the Everglades. I don't think there
Well,
were too
the
many
crocodiles
otters.
are-
Vicious. You'd be surprised.
They don't go inland. They stay closer to the oceans, and some of them, they don't go far from the ocean. If they get inland, they're lost. The crocodiles. They're not trying to get inland. They just get lost. But there are crocodiles in some fishing areas where people like to fish down here, and and even at nighttime, the crocodiles will chase down your fish hooked on the line there. I had a friend that was fishing in the Old Cutler area, And a popular spot there, and there's crocodiles out there, and they chase your catches. Pretty crazy.
Okay, so we have an answer for you, Mr. Mission Control. The answer is, where the heck did it go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so the Hutchinson effect, named after John Hutchinson, is a phenomenon that has been investigated and tested by various scientific agencies and laboratories. It involves the observation of unusual effects, such as the manipulation of materials and generation of electromagnetic patterns and initiation of disruptive forces. The exact nature and mechanisms of the Hutchinson effect are still under investigation, but it is believed to be related to unique electromagnetic patterns. The effect has been associated with the altercation of Van der Waals forces to manipulation of materials in a sample and the generation of disruptive forces that can lead to vaporization and other unusual effects. Research is ongoing to further understand, potentially master the Hutchinson effect. Now, let's just real quick, I'm going to pull up ChatGPT and compare the response because it'll say, oh, this is nonsense and it's been proven and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Okay.
Leonard Bot is.
Yeah.
That's
Critics
like
argue
one,
that
right?
it maybe was.
It
Yeah.
didn't tell you anything. All it told you is the same crap everybody else spits out. I'm sorry, man.
It's worse. It just drove you in circles about gibberish.
It's like this person said this and that person said that, but don't worry because these people say this. Really? Like, come on.
Critics argue that the Hutchinson results may be the result of experimental errors or misinterpretations rather than a genuine scientific phenomenon. As with many unconventional scientific claims, the Hutchinson effect remains a topic of debate and skepticism.
They have to say that. Their papers ride on it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
But it is refreshing not to see that nonsense related. Just give me the information that I need to know and I'll be on my way, you know.
I love how you look for answers in all kinds of different places, Ben. It shows intelligence.
I try to. I don't limit myself to just the AI. Just FYI, you know, it is a tool that I rely on sometimes, but I don't rely on all the time. You know what I mean?
No,
Yeah, and I do try to do extensive research into different areas anywhere that I can find them on the internet, or you know, even if I have them physically. Like I have that copy of the Practical Guide to Free Energy Devices. It's 5 volumes. Each volume is like this thick. It's got hundreds and hundreds of pages of information in there. I refer to it all the time, and it's one of my best references.
I have the ebook of that. I don't have the physical book.
You do, yeah.
When I was homeless, I used to go and spend a lot of time at the library, and that's where I got a lot of my start when it comes to reading. But like you got to have different avenues. I went to the internet. I got so many.
Because I like to see the information from different perspectives and different sources, you know, and then you compare and contrast. But
does Leonard Bot pull up circuits? Does Leonard Bot pull up circuits?
No, I asked it. No, some chatbots do, but not Leonard Bot. Like, yeah, some chatbots will print out like the circuit in a little.
See that it might be helpful. Give me a circuit that doesn't blow up on me today. That would be helpful.
That's a useful purpose right there.
Yeah.
Ask Leonard Bot to summarize the Schauberger science, or summarize Schauberger invention. 3 words. Summarize Schauberger invention.
If it's true that Tesla did
Don't elaborate. There's minimal. Those are the perfect 3 words for that.
He did it without transistors, so we should be able to as well.
How do you spell Schauberger?
Yeah, gee, I don't know. Let me get that correct.
I don't know. I always felt like hamburger and get it wrong.
Schauberger.
Hold on, I missed the whole front of that.
I think it's Schauberger.
SCHAU burger.
SCHAUBERGER. Yeah.
Schauberger.
Yeah, Ian's got it right there.
Oh,
summarize Schauberger
for layman.
Mike keeps telling me to put barbecue sauce on it because I keep just putting burger in there. It never works.
There you go.
Or inventions, because I don't know if he has more than one.
So the Schauberger invention involves the use of Arochok bomb effect. I don't know what that is. and creating coherent matter waves and beams. It includes the work of various scientists and researchers and appears to be related to advanced technologies, potentially including high voltage and electromagnetic waves. The invention that has ties to historical figures in science and may involve the replication of past experiments. It seems to have implications for energy production and may have originated from the diagram purposed in the 1930s. Additionally, there are mentions of patents and Masonic influences and frustration with the slow progress of official recognition of technology. Yeah, no, that didn't really clarify anything for me.
It's the Eric
that just confused me more. See, no, that just confused me more than anything.
Most AI does. Well,
in the beginning there.
Touche, Joe. Touche.
They think they can tell you big words, and then you don't have a thesaurus with you, so they won't think you look it up. So they just expect you to be in awe about it.
Well, what did
it's like Jeremiah's got the right wording for Mike's request.
I was about to say it's like the guy at the campfire always trying to sound smart using big words, trying to describe the same thing we're all talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of what it is.
Ben, read the first sentence again.
The Schauberger invention involves the use of Aerochock bomb effect and creating coherent.
Aerochock, that guy. Now,
that's the Aerochock
bomb about him. Ask Leonard about that.
Hold on, we got a question from Exotic. He wants us to ask how the Victor Schauberger repulsine fly. So asking it how it flies specifically. I think that's a good question to ask. Let's see.
Yeah, Schauberger was in the U.S. back in the late 40s and early 50s. He was working.
He died over there. He never made it back home.
No, he did leave. The laboratory that he worked at, apparently, the guy that ran the shop or the laboratory, he didn't get along with him very well. He really questioned a lot of his theories. Some of the stuff I found out about 4 or 5 months ago, there was a really good documentary on Schauberger. So, yeah.
Maybe it was as soon as he got back to Austria, he died or something like that. It was like...
Yeah, it was shortly after he left because he was pretty much done in the U.S. because he had so much falling out with the laboratory director. And they were just like oil and water. They didn't mix. And, he wasn't able to advance because this guy was like holding him back, right? So out of frustration, he just kind of left the project and moved back to Austria. And that was pretty much it. Now, the guy that I've seen in the documentary is actually his great-grandson. And he's trying to trace back all the steps of his uncle, or his great-grandfather, I should say. And, it was a really good documentary. It's on YouTube. You could actually probably find it. It's about 2 hours long. So it was really well done.
So we have an answer. It says the repulsine is believed to operate using principles of fluid dynamics and vortex motion derived from Victor Schauberger's theories on natural energy systems. To delve into the scientific sciences and engineering principles that underlie the repulsine's potential flight capabilities, I recommend exploring information related to fluid dynamics, vortex motion, and Victor Schauberger's theories on natural energy systems. And then it has a in-depth look with a link to probably some more Bob Grenier videos. So yeah, but that's basically what it gave us. I mean, Anthony.
What was that effect? The guy's name that his Schauberger's whole thing is based off some guy's name with an
Aerochock bomb effect.
Yeah.
So Anthony, I was showing off the 0 point energy generator. It's up there on the camera, but it's not on right now. I will turn it on in a little bit when I hook up the multimeters. Yes. So you didn't miss the full demo.
I almost had my project done for the show tonight, but I'm not quite finished.
What were you working on?
It's called the Peace Corps transformer. It's a cross between Thane Hine and the Meg by Thomas Bearden. as well as my coil system. Because they all use permanent magnets. Well, I found that I don't need it, so I just gave it 3 separate paths, magnetic paths for it to follow, and I'm seeing some interesting results. So I'm almost finished testing, and then we can show it off. Maybe next Friday.
There you go.
Because I got to catch up on projects for Monday. Wednesday.
And Wednesday, yes, for those who don't know, Gerald and Nathan have a new show on Wednesday where they build all sorts of cool stuff, and they show you how to do it, point-to-point soldering instructions. So I love it. I'm going to be a big fan of that show. I'm going to tune in next week, obviously. Yeah.
Well, John's going to show off some circuits for you, Ben, for your amp.
For the sound system, so it stops doing what it's doing to you.
And that's going to be really helpful. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I've used the same circuit, so hopefully.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of Arduino and like a whole bunch of parts lying around, so I'm sure we can whip up something.
Well, you'll need a FET, like a MOSFET.
Right? That's probably the only thing that
we'll get into it though. Yeah, simple circuit works really well.
Yep, I got a bunch of them just sitting around waiting to be used. So let me know because I need to build one
Waiting
too.
to get burned up.
Definitely.
Yep, that's right.
Waiting to fry it.
Well, you buy 10, you fry about 8. That's
how much are those? Those FETs are a couple bucks each, aren't they?
Depending on which one you buy.
Yeah, Jeremiah
the
recently.
More amps, the more money you spend, right?
Shout out to Exotic Propulsion. Jeremiah Pop gave me a name for a transistor that was just like, I think it was something like 200 amps and it was like 400 volts or something like that. I don't know. I got to look up the specs. He gave me the number. I checked it out. I'm going to order it. There's something like $35 a piece.
Nice.
So that might help. Yeah. But yeah, there's a few circuits coming up. Like I said, I got a whole book, all tried and true.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You mean you're not going to experiment?
They've all been experimented with. They've all been tested. All these circuits that are in here.
Transistor.
I didn't put a circuit in this book unless it was tested and it worked. If it didn't work, I didn't put it in here.
Nice.
Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna need some bulletproof circuits here because I'm getting a coil. We're gonna find out real quick how these things work.
That's a good philosophy.
I'm excited to see your coil.
Well, I'm gonna build 2, so I'm gonna find out, and I have an idea for one.
Ooh.
I'm gonna make part of it a control coil. So
who we got going on here? How do I present him? Solo.
Oh, that's Mike's battery. There you go.
There we go.
That's my battery
Very
cell.
nice.
It's next week. It'll be 1 month.
Oh,
So
wrong one.
Yeah, wrong one. Dang it.
Come on, Ben.
We had it.
There we
There
go.
we are.
There you go.
2 of us clicking at once was the problem.
It's okay. We got it.
So it's 4 cells. Next week will be 1 month that it's been running. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of material science, especially with magnesium. And the key to a lot of these cells to make them last is how to stop the oxidation that goes on the plate magnesium. So there's several techniques that I'm working on right now to look very promising. So if that works, I could have this thing running well over a year. So
Wow. How long you said it's been running a month?
it'll be a month next week.
Wow.
Yeah. So like right now, these plates are on the inside, they're completely oxidated. And as you can see, it's still producing power.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is that the blackness? Black.
What's that? No, actually, it's a hazy, kind of like a hazy white that forms on the magnesium.
On the tips?
So even after it being oxidized, it's still producing power. So what's going on inside is very important. Why this thing is technically, this battery should not be producing any power anymore, but it is. And the question is why? So there's a lot of science, quantum tunneling, Casimir effect, all that's, definitely possible.
Now's the interesting part, Mike. You built a device and now you got to figure out how it's doing what it's doing.
Well, yeah, because
it's not galvanic, right?
It's not, because if I put my hand on the cell and put a meter up to it, the voltage increases. So I have a thermoelectric conversion happening as well.
That doesn't sound galvanic at all.
Right?
That's so cool.
So
if it's not galvanic, how is it oxidizing?
Well, that's the big question.
Yeah.
There must be something on there that's very small amount of galvanizing properties are going on there somewhere.
Yeah. So what I'm working on now is how to preserve the magnesium and still put out an ionic charge. If I succeed with that, these cells should last for years. So there's two processes that I'm working on right now that are looking very promising. I don't want to make any claims just yet until I actually have it in operation. But yeah, like if it goes 6 months and it's still putting out full power, I'm definitely on the right track.
You need to do one in a vacuum seal, because maybe there's iron particles in the air or something,
Right. So eventually these cells are going to be hermetically sealed. They're actually going to be like super glued together. So if you try to open it, you'll basically destroy the cell. So because if it's completely sealed, it's not getting exposed to oxygen or nitrogen or any of the elements that could have a detrimental effect on what's going on inside. So if you can seal it up and close it in from all the elements, this thing should run for years. Right.
Wow.
So we've kind of outruled galvanic action when we found out if you put, just your hand on it, the power actually starts to increase. So that shows a thermoelectric conversion.
Right. That is not galvanic. When you have a response like that, this, because the galvanic response would interfere with a thermal reception like that.
Exactly. It'll actually go down. You
wouldn't be able to get thermal reception when you have a galvanic activity.
That's right. That's exactly it. If anything, it would make it worse, but it actually enhances it.
The actual galvanic reaction has its own heat. That's what I mean.
That's right. That's right. So there's a couple elements in there that are kind of the magic, what goes on inside. So I've been I've basically done like chemistry 101. In the last couple of months, it's just nothing but reading and reading and reading lab notes and research notes and what other companies are working on, what they're using for their dielectric and solid state and electrolytes, and just pretty much the entire spectrum I'm looking into. So yeah, it's really, really interesting stuff. That's why I've really embraced this, because I see such huge potential with this. So I don't look at this like a battery. It's not a battery. It's actually a solid state generator.
Yeah, generator.
Right?
Yeah, that's a 0-point energy generator right there. That's great work. I love it. I think you're really onto something.
So right now I've got, I'm working on plates. They're 12-inch by 12-inch. My new cells are going to be huge. I have enough material right now to make 6 cells. Each cell should be putting over 1 amp. So if you got 6, that's 6 amps at 1.6 volts each. Put them in series, do the math.
Yeah.
Each cell is 1 amp at 6 volts?
No, each cell puts out 1 amp each. So if you got 6 cells, that's 6 amps. And then 1.6 to 1.7 volts each, times that by 6.
Well, the amps doesn't go up. The amp stays 1 amp. you have to go in parallel to do that, not series. If you want the amps to go up, you have to be in parallel.
Yeah, but
so
either way,
yeah, you're gonna have your amp stay 1 amp at 7 volts, so 7 watts.
Yeah, which is not too shabby. You know what? The way I look at it,
10 watts for free. You could charge anything with that for free.
Exactly. So ultimately, the goal is to hook up, say, 4 car batteries to a 4 kilowatt inverter, and then use these batteries or cells like this to charge those batteries continuously. So,
but you could also go in parallel too and get your amps.
You could go any way you want with these. See, with the Hutchison crystal cell,
parallel
you can't go in series. You can't go in series with the crystal cells. These things you can. You
hey,
can
Mike,
multiply the voltage.
Have you tried using a boost converter with that?
Well, you would need diodes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Exactly. Now it's kind of weird too. I did hook this up to the scope at one point, and I was getting a back EMF, which I found kind of really interesting. There was a kickback, and there's no coil in it.
You mean?
I wonder what it would do. I wonder what it would do with a boost converter. That's it.
It would work. Or even
like that kickback with a load or without a load. Was it dead short?
Well, I could do a dead short. It would hold.
Was that kickback during the dead short, or was it with a light or a load or something?
Usually with a light or a load. Yeah, I would get a back EMF in it. But what's really interesting is there's no coil in it.
Right, no coil. But yeah,
so,
the light has a little coil in it, you know.
Well,
yeah, this is different though.
Yeah, this
is
different.
Everything flies back. All materials. It doesn't have to be a coil. You charge anything in one polarity, you remove that charge, even if it's a flat plate, it's going to reverse charge on you.
Yeah, but there has to be something. There has to be some sort of an inductor there in order to create
anything that's polarizable. You remove your polarity from it, it reverses polarity. It doesn't have to be a coil.
Well, you might be right on that.
No, I recently, I don't know where I saw this or read it, but I picked it up somewhere.
That's actually really cool to know that, because
I don't tend to repeat stuff that I don't, mark down as, affirmative.
See, like if you put these cells under a load, you can draw the power right down to like maybe a half a volt. But the thing is, this light here is 12 volts and you need 300 milliamps to run it. Okay. So if the cell's totally pulled down, it's totally exhausted. Why is it still working? Right? Why is it still working? It should be dead.
It could be breathing the moisture in the air or something.
Well, if the magnesium plates on the inside are completely oxidized, this cell should be dead.
Well, no, the oxidization will actually be part of the galvanic activity.
Because since the entire surface of the plate is oxidized, usually you lose it. Like most of the potential's gone.
I mean, isn't that the breakdown of the material, the oxidation?
Yeah. It's
the same thing as galvanizing copper and iron. They break it.
The oxidation. It's just corrosion, right?
Right.
But it's still putting out power. It's putting enough power out to run a 300 milliamp light.
Well, oxygen is highly corrosive, Mike. You got to vacuum seal that because oxygen finds a way. I mean, it corrodes just about anything.
Yeah. So
even
that's why I really
zinc. Maybe zinc is not so easily.
Well, see, a lot of magnesium. If you were to shop for it, you can get magnesium that has a mix, say like with zinc in it or aluminum, like an alloy, more of an alloy. That will extend the life of the magnesium.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to go for the purest magnesium I can get. And now the trick is to make that magnesium last. So there's a couple of techniques I'm working on right now that look very promising.
So you know who holds that secret? The ancient samurai builders of those swords. They know how to do that with magnesium and carbon and stuff. They mix carbons, like somehow they Purify the
It's
carbon?
what they do is they dope it. It's like putting a film on it. So I'm coming up with a special film that go over the magnesium, and that will retard or almost completely stop the corrosion process. But the other problem is you got to still make the magnesium reactive. So it has to be able to still transfer, the ions through that medium. So that's what I've been working on. That's kind of like the $6 million question, is how to do it. So there's a couple that I'm working on that look very promising. So hopefully when I build the big cell, I'm going to actually use one of those ideas to preserve it, and we'll see what happens.
I mean, from what I understand about biology and, not to get into the medical topics and stuff, but magnesium is very potent for energy production for the body.
Yeah, it's one of the highest. Like, you got
it's like the fire. They call it the fire.
Yeah, you have the highest is potassium, calcium, cesium, fluorine, and then magnesium, and it just keeps going down. So unfortunately, potassium is extremely reactive, like explosive.
More than magnesium, huh? Yeah.
Oh, probably. God, yeah. Oh yeah.
Very I would explosive. Think so.
So I kind of want to stay away from that for obvious reasons. I want to make a power cell, not a bomb.
It's for your muscles. Your muscles is where all your potassium goes. So
yeah, you can get potassium in certain things that are more controlled and safer to use. They're out there. Actually, believe it or not, some of the best ones are actually you can get at the hardware store. So yeah, I've been dabbling with a lot of materials, a lot of different chemicals and stuff, and I'm finding out some interesting stuff, and a lot of it you could get at your local hardware store.
I like the idea of zinc and silver.
That's my favorite.
Silver is the most electrically conductive element.
Or zinc and gold.
Copper.
Like
gold, yeah, gold is kind of way out there in price. So
right, just a wee bit out of our price range, but it's fun to work with too.
But you could use a thin wire of gold.
Well, gold, or I would just go with silver. Silver is the highest rated.
No, but gold is the best for like oxidation. Silver oxidizes. Gold does not. Not even the latest.
Gold oxidizes.
No, it doesn't.
Not
even the slightest.
Well, see, if you're going for 24 karat gold, it's not really practical because it becomes very soft and it's easy to break. That's the problem with gold. Now, silver, I would definitely use silver. That's actually one element I'm looking into right now. So silver is a definite maybe. So for conductivity, I'm actually trying to work on fabricating a plate other than using a graphite, because the graphite plate that I need, it's almost next to impossible to get. It's like all for the military. Like I want to build cells that are 12 by 12. If you try to buy that right now on the consumer market, that's if you can find it. You're looking at about $300 a plate.
Yeah, but they don't need to be that thick. They just need to be firm or whatever.
About an 1/8 inch. Yeah, it's the best one that I've worked with at the small scale is carbon graphite ingot. It's rock hard. It's like ceramic. And if you want to work with small cells, like,
what is it about carbon? It just seems to.
It holds a charge
for a lot of materials,
Yeah, they're working with carbon a lot in batteries right now because they don't corrode, right?
Right. No, it doesn't corrode.
They make the ideal anode and cathode, but you have to do a little bit of altering to the anode. It has to have a little bit higher resistance than the cathode. So like creating a cell.
You dope the cathode, right?
Right.
Or the anode.
Right. Yeah. So
you dope one side, so the current tends to want to go that direction and not the other way.
Yeah. The ideal material to dope it with is silicate carbide. And that has some pretty interesting properties. Actually, they use that in a lot of semiconductors. So especially like MOSFETs and stuff like that, they use silicate carbide because of the properties that it has.
There's carbon in there.
Well, it's carbon. It can handle extreme heat. It's got a really good thermal control.
Carbide.
Yeah, silicate carbide. Yeah.
It's a form of carbon.
Yeah, it's just thermo resistant, where a lot of materials can't handle that extreme heat. So, yeah, there's so much to know. It's like I think
they make it by heating up regular carbon to a certain temperature, and then you got carbide.
Well, all the leading research right now, they're all working with this stuff. They're all working with carbon.
If I were to make materials for like cells, the first thing I would get, Mike, is a kiln, a miniature kiln.
Yeah. Yep. I'm looking into that right now.
You can start melting down, your own materials, your own rocks. You could choose,
Yeah, I'm working on a fabrication process where I actually use an acrylic plate, and then I actually build a substrate on that plate. So, yeah, pretty interesting stuff I'm working on right now.
Always wanted to say this. Good evening, Mr. Anderson. How's it going, Thomas?
I seen on the YouTube a video guy took a pencil, graphite, the graphite inside the pencil, and he turned it into a diode. I think he wrapped aluminum or something on one side.
Yep. So, the other thing that I'm working on, hopefully I'll be selling this stuff. I've come up with a really cool conductive ink or conductive paint.
I'll buy some.
So, So
me three.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for. I'm waiting for one material to come in because it's like getting harder and harder to find. The supply chain for some of this stuff is getting really elusive now. Like I've spent
carbon-based material.
Oh God, yeah, carbon. Even getting nanoparticles of silver is not easy to find. Like very few
jewelry shops. You got to go to jewelry shops, get the dust on the floor and all that stuff they sweep up. And
or an old silver coin and shave it.
Or shave your own coin, right?
Just a lot of these materials, like 10 years ago, were easy to get. They were easy to get, and they didn't cost that much. Now they're getting harder to get, and a lot more expensive.
Makes you wonder.
That's the problem.
Those are the kind of things that make you want to go,
Could you use iron pyrite to simulate what gold does in these type of?
I know Hutchison did use iron pyrite in some of his crystal cells. A lot of people
using it for the gold property in there because it has like a gold property.
It acts, it has semiconductor properties to it.
What is that though? It looks like gold,
but
it's not.
Yeah, it's iron pyrite. Yeah.
Is that not a property of gold, or what is it? I mean, why does it look like gold?
Honestly, I really don't know. I haven't researched iron pyrite.
That's a good one for Leonard bot.
But you know what? Yeah.
I don't think
honestly,
knows. That's like a mystery question.
But I think what, Hutchison was definitely using it in his early cells. I know that for a fact. He actually told me that in 2005 when I actually was speaking with him. And iron pyrite, you have to experiment, like there's so many experiments you can do, and you just have to see what works with each other, what doesn't work, right? That's something that, ChatGPT or all these chatbots can't do. You have to experiment. You can get your ideas from there, or at least give you a clue, maybe. But
that's how the
you have to
semiconductor industry was born. They were experimenting, doping stone. How many years decades did they spend with different doping materials? They're still doing it. They still do it.
Yep. Yeah, but especially with what I'm working with, it's all experimentation. It really is.
Bedini said something similar when he was saying put the high voltage potential over the battery to stimulate the chemical in the battery. It's kind of like the same concept when you're doping carbon
See
for
Bedini's
semiconductor materials, you know.
See, Bedini's magnesium cell that he made, nobody was using to preserve the magnesium. It's using that stuff you can pick up at the store. It's called alum for pickling. And he would dunk the piece of magnesium into the little cup that he had, copper cup. Put the magnesium there with a steel stem on it, and he would surround it and bury it in alum. So all he had to do is add a little bit of water on top of the alum, and boom, the cell would come to life. So what makes my cell different from his, if I put my hand on it, it increases the voltage just from the heat of my hand. So there's something else going on there. You know, you've got a thermal conversion going on.
You're not using water either.
No, mine's completely dry.
It's a dry cell tech.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more difficult.
And that might explain too why, you know, even though that my plates have completely oxidized, you know, the cell's still running.
Because you got no water in there.
There's no water at all. The only water that it could be is maybe what's in the atmosphere.
Air. Yeah. I think that's what's running it. Probably the air, you know. But you won't know until you vacuum seal it.
See, I think, you know, this is kind of predecessor to what Nathan Stubblefield was doing with his earth batteries. Because, you know, he would make a cell using these coils, using iron and copper and, you know, and wrapping it in like this mesh cloth. And then he would just bury it in the ground and the thing would come to life and run and just keep running, right? And that's how he's making his wireless transmitter using the earth battery. So it's like the earth battery was actually part of the actual transmitter itself. So you could say it's almost like it's not like it needs a power source. It's actually integrated as part of the system itself. So, and he was able to transmit, you know, a signal, you know, well, almost a kilometer away.
He used like a cloth to separate the copper from the iron so it didn't corrode.
Exactly. Right.
And just he didn't give it no water. He just buried it under the ground, let the ground moisture get in there.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the craziest part of all is the distance he was able to transmit. You know, like he had a very large farm, and you know he would send his son
it's AC. It was AC. The coil was putting out AC, right? The coil, the Stubblefield coil.
No, I think it's a DC, but it might have been pulsing.
No, it's galvanic. It's galvanic. It's AC. It's galvanic, so it's like AC. I think, you know. It's not really DC, but it can become DC. I mean,
the energy obviously is coming from the ground itself.
I know this. It's an AC waveform that if you tied it to a battery, the battery would convert it to DC.
Yeah, it's kind of like a pulse DC that, you know, I've been working with my pulse motors forever because, you know, I could run an AC appliance with it or put it into a DC appliance. It doesn't matter. It's like a
So you think the signal off a galvanized signal is a pulse DC signal?
I would say that. Yeah. Because
But not a
go into
clean
either or.
DC. It's like a spike or whatever.
It's probably cycling on, you know, the natural Earth currents.
Looking like a distortion signal.
Interesting.
You know, a distortion signal. It looks like it's. You never seen
What is that?
a distortion signal? You've never seen a distortion signal on an
Well,
oscilloscope?
distortion. I thought you said sourcing. I'm like, what's going on here?
Distortion, like from
Oh, it's my ears.
like a a guitar pedal effect. Distortion that it creates
Okay.
all that static. That's a bunch of spikes in there. That could be
because
what
you
the
have
galvanic.
to-
That's what I think a galvanic signal would look like coming from a corroding two opposing metals. You know.
Yeah,
It would-
because back in those days, they didn't really have much radio going on back then, so I couldn't see it picking up. A
I don't think
radio
it's a
signal
clean
in the air.
sine wave or nothing, but it's probably dirty AC. If any, is what I'm trying to say. Distorted AC.
Dirty AC, huh?
I don't think DC would become that very easily into any DC device because of the way it's not a clean AC in the first place.
Yeah, I think it's just resonant Earth frequency that's going into that cell.
So, guys, I have to take off, but I wanted to show you something really quick. Can I present? See if this will work.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes, please.
I don't want to present my ugly mug here.
Too late. Just kidding.
It's your camera. Hopefully this
We've got
works.
questions. What's on your whiteboard? There we go.
I can't remember. Wait, this is share screen. Okay, so
There you go.
yeah. Where is it? Window. Why isn't it showing up?
Oh, I think you added an extra camera instead of adding a shared screen, maybe.
Okay, so
Yep.
I suck at this. Give me a sec.
You're learning. We're all learning. It's all good.
Okay, so now I go present and I go share screen. Let's see.
Might be under window instead of tab.
Yeah, it's a picture.
I've been using it for 3 years. I still suck.
Oh, you can't get the link to the. I did send you the link if that's what you're talking about, Jeremiah.
No, that's good there. No.
I had good luck with those alum batteries and the crystal cells. They
Sorry,
still
guys.
work.
Give me a sec.
Well, yeah, the alum works good. It actually protects and preserves the magnesium.
It protects the
That's
lead
what-
plates too. It doesn't
Yeah.
harm them.
Yeah, it's a preservative. They use it for pickling and stuff like that. You can pick it up at your local bulk. bar.
Okay, here we go.
And,
It's a hell of a lot less toxic than hydrochloric
Oh.
acid.
oh, exactly.
Ooh, under a microscope.
Yep. This is the rock that I put that video out on. It's under 1,000 times microscope.
Nice.
And there's all kinds of, I don't know what you'd call it, toluene. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing that right. But the different colors that are in this. When Mike brought up iron pyrite, I believe there is some in here. I'm just trying to get it focused. Can you see that? I believe that this
Like a
came.
silver gold. Looks like
Yeah.
silver gold.
I believe this came from a kimberlite tube. And I'm 95% sure I know where there's a diamond mine.
Did you ever put a magnet up to it? Does it stick to a magnet?
What's Kimberlake tube?
Does it stick to it? No, but I've knocked some off and had it on a paper and put the magnet underneath the paper, and the paper, I was able to move a whole bunch of it around. Not all of it, but a whole bunch of it.
Part of it could have been a meteorite.
Yeah, I kind of wonder about that because this rock is strange in the way that it looks.
That's how they usually search for, fallen meteorites. If they know it hit the ground, they go out there with a magnet, and that's kind of a sign that if it's metallic, it's going to stick to the magnet, or the magnet will stick to the rock. Sorry, and that's how they can kind of zoom in and try to locate the meteorite.
Yeah, as you can see, it's got a unique structure. So,
is it very heavy?
Oh yeah, extremely. I'll see if I could show it here. I'll switch cameras.
That's called.
I wonder if there's lead in it.
Okay.
Vitrification.
So,
yeah, where it like literally turns to glass.
Did look a little vitrified.
This thing,
almost.
I haven't weighed it.
Wow, that's a big piece.
But you can see it.
Right? No, crystal.
Well, I inherited it, so it might be. But I can tell you, it's heavy enough to pull my shoulder out if I keep holding it.
I believe that.
And what you saw was the magnification of this rock.
You're showing our rocks tonight, man.
Really? Hey, that's super interesting. I guess that would explain the vitrification then with if it was a meteorite.
Well, either it's a meteorite or it comes from a kimberlite tube, which means that it would have those striations because it's being pushed up through the whole tube. A kimberlite tube is basically an old volcano that has been dormant, and because of the pressures and everything, there's minerals that have been made, and emeralds and diamonds and rubies, and all sorts of things. So I believe I might have found one. It's going to take some money to go prove it, though.
Right?
Yeah.
Questions: are they magnetic, either of those rocks?
That big rock, if I crush a piece off, it'd be partially magnetic. But the rock itself, it won't hold the magnet. So I don't know. Maybe it's got iron pyrite in it a little bit. And if that's the case, that's also an indication that it could be from a kimberlite tube. Something to be tested for sure.
Absolutely.
Mike Does has got a rock too.
Can you see the green? It's green.
Oh yeah, that looks
olivine.
That's green, not black, or I don't know how you see it, though.
Could be olivine if it's looking like green olivine.
What is it?
Olivine, which is like a type of copper oxide or copper compound, copper silicone compound.
Yeah, that's in
white. There's white in it too.
You find that in marble, eh? Olivine.
Yep.
Yeah, white quartz.
Yeah, quartz in it.
Right, that's quartz, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Type quartzite for sure.
And why is the copper there?
Silicone in that.
See, Earth is full of copper.
It certainly is. Copper, silicone, silver.
Gotta love Thomas's suggestions. He's always just on it, eh?
Absolutely. And
that rock's from Bulgaria.
Well, how's it going?
How's everybody?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hello, who is this?
We got Hans back.
How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Famous or?
Oh, I recognize you. You were on Bernie's stream.
Yeah, Woo Wednesday on a Thursday into Friday. Now we're back on Friday.
Now back Saturday.
Awesome.
Nice.
Dude, we got the whole family here now. I love
Lots
it.
of good info.
That's
lots of good info. Amazing.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Now that we
got the
Hans,
multimeters hooked up as well.
Hans can tell his story again about what he saw with at it was Nassim Haramine's Resonance Academy in Hawaii there. And then if you tell that story, it'll bait Jeremiah on for sure because, well, he's watching and has the link and definitely come happily.
It's the same story I always tell. So I was invited to the Resonance Project in 2013 on Kauai. It pretty much was a huge lecture series at a hotel. Nassim wasn't there until the last day. It was mostly Jamie Janover. But there were a lot of people there that brought their own devices. And one of them was this octagon-shaped scaffolding It was like 3D printed, and it was wrapped with fifth. I'm not sure the dimensions of the copper coiling, but it was wrapped and interwoven with this copper coiling around the entire scaffold. And in the middle of it were the two trodes that came off of both sides of the wrapping, and they connected to what looked like the trodes for a 9-volt battery. And the dude plugged the battery in, and the thing lifted off the table, spun up. It created that auric light that's white but has every color involved in it for a fraction of a second because it was crackling, and then it dropped back down on the table. And so it's like, okay, this is laboratory bench. What can we do with much more voltage and larger specimens? And so it was very fascinating to see this.
You're gonna have to draw out some dimensions of it, what you remember, because you do give a little bit more detail each time.
It's about a little over 2 feet wide, 1.5 wide, wrapped. It was a octagonal shape and made out of some sort of polymer. This is why I thought it was 3D printed, but it was just the scaffolding, and so the wire was wrapped and woven around the entire thing. From what I remember of it.
Interesting.
That's really cool.
It shot up, so it was like levitating.
It shot up off the table about 4 or 5 feet, levitated, spit off colors, crackled, and then once the power drained from it, it landed back on the table with a unspectacular crash. But the fact that it was this very minimally powered copper coil device, I thought was incredibly fascinating. So,
well, it was a toroid. It was like a vortex coil.
That's what I would expect. Yeah,
it's focusing the magnetic field into a small area.
Sure.
That has an effect on the atmosphere.
Would it create this kind of effect? I'm not.
Pressure.
This isn't my area of expertise. I just witnessed this thing.
It would create a pressure field.
Okay.
The light
that field would have barriers between, the pressure from above coming down, or all around, not just above. The pressure from all around.
Like a toroid, exactly.
Creating your own pressure field.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to ask. If it was geometrically formed,
it's a very small field because it's narrow. It's focusing it in a very small point. That's where all the energy is.
So it doesn't need a lot of energy for lift, I presume, based on that.
The Schauberger thing, he uses displacement of mass.
Right.
When you spin the disc, it has, how do I say this? It's got less mass on one end because it's gradually adding mass to the other. And if you, in that way, when it spins, the mass ratio of the disc is not even,
Sure.
It's displacing, it's doing its best effort in displacing, the mass on the disc. It looks like the swirl.
Mike, if we all knew how it worked, we'd all be flying by now. So I get what you're saying, brother.
It's not a perfect squirrel either.
We're working on it. You know what I mean? It's.
I saw that device running on a video. He spin it, and it lifted up.
There's a TT Brown video that's very similar. It's a very different device, but it's very similar where it has this auric effect, lifts off the table.
I've seen another device.
And it was different colors.
I can't explain today.
Sorry, what?
It was different colors.
It's this. If you ever read Terry Pratchett's book, he calls it the color of magic, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's this Octavian color, but it's like white, but it has the hints of the rainbow in it.
It's white because of the hints of the rainbow,
right? Because they're all overlapping in light spectrum, which creates the bright white light.
Yeah.
So, no, exactly. So that's
very interesting.
That's what I've noticed with these devices. Anyway, sorry.
Was it like a bubble that you saw, or was it more of a toroid?
Myself?
Yeah, like
I didn't see any effect to it. It was just the device lifting up. but because it was this copper interwoven copper, it had this auric effect. That's the only way I can explain it.
Okay, fair enough.
Or a fraction, you know, it was crackling and creating a static. I mean, static electricity has this similar light to it. So.
Oh yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I play with it all the time.
Anyway, sorry, Mike. Go back.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to cut you off.
There's this bird model toy thing. You know, it's weighted very peculiarly, where all the weight is at the nose of the bird. But it's a full sculpture of a bird, right? And you put the tip of the bird in your finger, and it just floats right there. It don't fall down like it
right.
should. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't find that in the U.S., but I've seen it, and I can't explain this, but it's displacing matter or weight or mass.
Or it's focalizing it into a point, which is
right.
Yeah.
You could do that with like 2 forks and a knife.
Correct.
Same thing. Yeah.
Huh. 2 forks and a knife.
Yeah, if
that
like,
balance effect, and then you can basically balance 2 forks that are interconnected.
No, I'm talking about a whole bird, and I'm holding the nose of the bird here, and it's balancing on my finger.
Yeah, I know
it's not falling down; it's balancing on the nose.
Because
like
the weight is distributed. The weight is where the wings are, and it's
not even slipping on my finger. I'm talking about
I had
the
one
nose
as a
of the
kid,
bird.
so I know
it doesn't
exactly.
slip at all. You try to make it fall. It doesn't fall.
Yeah, I know.
It's the oddest thing I've ever seen. I tried to. The person that I was visiting had one, and only one, and I tried to find out where she got it. It was from China somewhere.
You go to the dollar store, they have it. They have it at the dollar store.
Really? You're kidding me.
I swear to God, I've seen it.
No, I'd never go there. That's probably.
Yeah, they have it
I got to go there.
Store. If I find it, I'll buy a bunch, and
You mean the bird thing that doesn't fall off your finger?
Yeah, it's like the beak.
It will balance on. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think Schauberger is using that right there.
So.
In the
Randall
reverse, though,
recently has kind of admitted to some of Schauberger's technology being produced in Malaysia or the Maldives, I believe. And so it'd be interesting to see what actually comes out of this new collective, because Schauberger's work was amazing. You know, the fish does not swim, it's swum. The bird does not fly, it's flown. You know, this is a very fascinating concept, that it deals with dynamics pretty much. Fluid dynamics of sorts. Anyway.
Sure.
Like when you sail against the wind and you still go forward.
Yeah. I mean, I've swum with turtles. Turtles will just float there in the current. They're not doing anything, but I'm moving with the current and they're not. And then they'll just do one paddle, one blade, and they're gone. And you're like, what? Shit, what did I just witness?
Barracudas. You ever seen barracuda move?
No. Turtles was the most fascinating
like a torpedo at high speed.
Because you try and keep up with them, they're just going, whoop, and they're gone, and you're like, what? How is that even possible? But it is, because they're using, some sort of navigational buoyancy technique that we don't have, obviously.
Very cool. Schauberger was using 99-cent store birds, huh?
Somehow he figured out to displace matter on a disc and spin it in a way that displaced matter would create lift. And it's not that complicated. It's just you got to get the displacement accurate and tune it correctly.
I don't know if it's matter. I think he was just charging it. It was just basically
no.
rotation
It was
for
a
big
disc,
charge.
no power. No power, sir. Zero. Just a disc.
Oh, you don't need a power source.
With weight, with blobs of solid brass shaped like a swirl of ice cream, kind of. No power. You'd spin it, and the weight, it loses weight, for one. And you spin it fast enough, it comes off the table. Very interesting. He did a lot of things with water, too.
So this is interesting because this gets into some of my research around Peru and Egypt, and so you have all these ancient sites that have these astronomically large, 50 to 70 to 80 to even 100-ton blocks that are being moved across waterways or through waterways or with waterways. And the question is, obviously, if you create a silt spew that's pressurized, you have something that can cut almost, if not more accurately than diamond. And so a lot of these ancient sites, strangely, are next to major water sources. And I've often wondered if there is a connection there with technology that we're not even considering today, because all of our technology is explosive based. And, in the past, they could have been using air, water, salt water. I mean, all sorts of things that we are just now trying to figure out. Oh, wow. Well, we've blown the planet up. Let's figure out how to rehydrate it,
Well, with the right system, you can use water as a groundwater.
As a what? Sorry?
As a groundwater.
Oh,
so
okay.
You can transfer energy between places long distances, providing you have the right high voltage and the right system operating. So if you're using like back EMF, which is like a negative form of energy, so they say, you can theorize to what it is. You could call it back electromagnetic force. You could call it the current from the system. Call it whatever you want. But I found a way where you can run it through a tube where the water acts as the ground line, or you can run it in a river. Now, in a river, you only get so far because it's not clean, and there's lots of different materials that are stopping that energy transfer, but it's pretty interesting. So I believe that the old systems literally used water to transfer energy between each site. And because of we could get into the theory of the pyramids being a whole power plant, of course, but that's just the theory.
Christopher Dunn's work is fascinating. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I covered Christopher Dunn on a chapter in Divine Science. His explanation of the pyramids is absolutely one of the most incredible from an engineering perspective. It made me realize, these hallways, they're not meant to be accessible, No.
Well, especially if you're in the subterranean, you realize that there is massive amounts of water pouring through there. All the different elements in there are just washed away by water that's come up through the well shaft. And of course, you can't go down the well shaft. If you look at any of the diagrams, they don't tell you about the well shaft, but it goes down at least 3 different layers that have tunnels going off in different directions. And you can look down and go, oh, well, there they are. I've been there twice. So that's the most fascinating part of the pyramid, because you're deep, you're 500 feet under the bedrock. And when you climb down the dead-end shaft, it's about 65 feet to the end of it. It might be less, but it's only, a yard or a meter by a meter, and you're clawing your way across bedrock that's just chipped away. And if you don't have knee pads or anything, you're shredding your knees. But the whole way down, the ceiling is it's like a half-inch layer thick of salt, and people have carved their names and the whole 9 yards into it. And it's like, where's this salt coming from? Right? It's like, what's up with the salt deposits? And then you get to the end of it, and it's cemented off, and there's a hole drilled through it. So obviously it's not dead-end shaft, but that's what they call it. But you're down there, and you stop, and you turn off your torch, and you're there meditating by yourself. The 2 tours I've been on, that's the first place I built to once they opened it up after the King's Chamber. I'm going down there. I'll do the King's Chamber after, the Queen's Chamber after, but I usually want to go down there first. And I'll just sit down there for 5 to 15 minutes and meditate. And it gets so incredibly loud, but you're not hearing anything. It's all internal. It's interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Vibration.
Yeah.
Well, because you know why? Because you're in such a silent place.
Right. But it's just like,
Yeah, because you start hearing the biology now.
It's amazing. Especially after doing, toning.
You have to tune out your own heartbeat somehow.
So the King's Chamber tones at F, the box, or F sharp, the box tones at A. So if you're in the box and you're toning and everybody else in the room is toning, you're enveloped in this weird bubble, and you feel like you're having an out of body experience. That's the only way I can describe it. Plus, being in the King's Chamber, you're surrounded by that much thick granite. You don't feel the world around you. You feel like you're in the middle of a void in the universe. It's kind of, this is a machine. This is not. Yeah.
I think I probably have to go there before I die.
Everybody should. I must make pilgrimage to Egypt. Do it, please.
Yes, we're definitely gonna
I'm gonna
go.
have to live long enough to get there.
Bernie and I have talked about this. We want to do a crew and get a bunch of us. I know people that do tours there, so we can definitely get a good good price and go to some amazing sites.
Yes,
we
are going to be doing that
and get private access, and that's the key.
I'll send a coil with you. You turn it on, and I'll just
you
be
will
there.
Bring the coil with you, Gerald.
Turn it on. We just need to hold it in the air. It turns on.
That's what I mean. You got to open a door so I can come. I mean, what are we talking about?
Hey,
that'd be great. Hey, speaking of coils, if anybody's wondering what I'm doing, I'm trying to rewind the small one so it's actually usable.
Now the gloves make sense.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. It's a long process. I use it
a little more.
It's just a donut with the grooves. It's very hard to wind, but I do it as a meditation. It relaxes me trying to wind these things.
So it's this kind of winding, that was on that device. Obviously, it wasn't
a PoE coil.
Yes, this is a mini. This is a tiny one.
Yeah, the mini. You're making.
It's got 4 wires. Yeah, it's got 4 wires by Fowler, so we'll be able to do 2 channels.
What are you going to use?
So do you 3D print these and then wind them up, or?
Some people send me the frames. I actually printed this one a while ago using a service that I found locally.
Scored. Wow. All right.
Honestly, this I didn't expect to be this small, but it was a surprise. I screwed up. I'm like, oh, it's a mini. We'll run with it, guys. We'll make it work.
Nice.
Yeah, you're in a room full of coil builders.
Yeah.
There should be on the.
I ordered one online.
Scale function.
It's funny. After I went to the movies with my cousin on Sunday, we went and saw Alien Romulus. The 3 of us, my good friend George, my cousin, and
so
I.
Good.
Man, people must be deaf these days. It was so loud in that theater. Oh my god.
It was actually I've been in the theater before that I seen Romulus at, and it was pretty well mastered. I think it was the track. Whoever produced that movie is a good movie, but they made some parts really. Great. Yeah, they made some parts really loud though. Sometimes they don't pay attention to the DB.
This is every movie. I have a home theater, and it's the same thing. I got to turn it up and adjust it every time I watch the movies. But it was crazy. Yeah. It was an amazing movie. I went into it, with a little bit of hesitation. I'd seen some spoilers, but I'm like, I'm gonna just see it for what it is, and create my own ambience around it. But
so I got a quick question, and then I got to take off. It was awesome talking to you, by the way, Hans.
Yeah, thank you.
Have you seen anything like this inside the pyramid?
Not inside pyramids, no.
No?
What about like the Mandelas? It kind of looks like it could be a Mandela.
It definitely looks like some of the Mandelas. That is very nice work, Gerald.
I know. I like how he has it preserved in that resin.
That's super
nice. That way.
What you need to do.
Is it just sitting in it, or is it sunk into it?
No, it's sunk into it.
Okay.
It's part of the coil itself.
All right.
That way it can't be torn apart.
Does that affect any output?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Gives me a little bit extra. And if you can
have to
bubbles in here that I've just recently found, the lighting may not allow you to see it. I'm not sure. Oh, can you see all those little
if you fire that up, will it heat the resin up and crack it? I mean, there is a crack.
No, it doesn't get hot.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it runs cold, this system. It's a little different than most. It has
not my area of expertise.
Nano coat it next time before doing.
Where I was going with the cousin story real quick is he's got a bench in his uncle's basement, or my uncle's basement, that has 2 Tesla coils at both ends, and they use it for healing. And he's like, dude, come over and use the table again.
Nice.
So,
don't.
Nathan's a Tesla coil guy. He's good at it. He's got like 3 or 4 in the background sitting there.
No, over that side.
Well, we talked about this briefly
Jason's
on
got
the
Tesla coils
last
hidden in
shows.
holes.
But yeah, no,
Everywhere.
I'm now tempted to go back over because I
Got
remember
thousands
the
of
first
Tesla
time I
coils.
used the table. It was amazing. So.
Yeah, don't talk about any medical stuff on here. We're not.
Oh no,
endorsing
we're all
any-
good.
Get in trouble for that.
Oh, Hans well and
I got
nowhere.
like 50 solenoids in.
I'm talking about a
boxes.
table that I lay on. That's
Yeah, a massage table, guys. It's a massage table.
Speaking of which, I'm gonna
Put
go
on
take
a little
off.
discretion there.
I'll
Viewers,
see you later, Gerald.
I'm gonna go get a massage. Okay, so
Later. Yeah. No,
You
massage
guys-
sounds good right now.
you guys have a great night. It's been awesome.
Happy Labor
Thanks for
Day.
bringing me
Much
on.
love and
Good
respect,
meeting you, Hans. Hopefully, we'll talk again.
appreciate it.
thanks,
You too.
Gerald.
Thanks.
Later, Bernie. See you, Marty.
Bye.
Lulu. Bye, Lulu.
I've been for the past hours like carpooling kids, you know, from the mall to their houses and their friends, and like it's just. But I've been listening to the show. So I've been cutting in and out. You know, yeah.
Glad to have you. And
I've tried shows from the car. I was driving to from Portland down to Shasta, and wow, it was cutting in and out. It was kind of crazy. I had to go somewhere that had a Wi-Fi or just sit in their parking lot.
Yeah, but finally,
So
they all left the house. They all are. They're all like, yeah, I've got the place to myself.
if you can
Nice.
see that, this is the
Yes,
problem
begins.
with doing these
Nice.
donut coils. I try to use UV light glue, but I don't have it today. I use super glue, and see, I got some of the glove stuck to the wire there.
Yeah.
If you're ever trying to do this, anybody, I do recommend UV light glue because it's easier to work with.
Nice.
Wouldn't you wrap it
That actually
before
happened
you
to me once.
glued it? Couldn't you wrap it tight enough so that you didn't need the glue?
You could, but honestly, you have to be very careful because one wrong move and you loosen up just the right. Like you have
Right.
to keep a good grip on it. You loosen it up, and the whole thing just unwinds if it's not in there tight.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very difficult, but I mean, like I said, it's a slow process. You use it. I use it for like meditation. If I need to relax, I'll just wind one of these coils.
You have a hot
You know,
glue
because
gun?
it forces you into a focus.
That's funny. I fold origami, so it's very similar.
Yeah, exactly. You did it. Yeah.
Start
my
making
OCD, right? Yeah.
You need a hot glue gun, Ben.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I could use my hot glue gun. That's a good idea.
Temporarily, you can just because you could pull the glue off later. You know,
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. I think I'll try that.
it dries fast too.
I do have the multimeters hooked up if anybody wants to take a look at them, but other than that, I don't really have
Yeah.
anything else for the stream. We can just go
Absolutely.
off the cuff or improvise at this point.
Well, in the title there is, the bait of a demo of the free energy, and it being Free Energy Friday, and you have it set up. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
Oh, now it all makes sense.
All right. I think I got a
Is
little on
that
my.
your other screen there I should highlight?
Yes. So highlight the rodent coil, and I'll be over there heading to the mini lab in a second.
Wow, what's that? That's fascinating.
Oh, there's some real science about to happen right here.
Real science.
You'll like it, Bernie. We saw it earlier. It's really
I haven't been in a lab in like 3
Oh, yeah.
years, 4 years. My own lab, 5 years.
I bought a digital microscope so I could look at my pieces from Egypt, but other than that,
Ooh, that's what we got to do next Wednesday then, is hook that up and take a look, Mr. Hahn.
uh-oh. All right. Well, damn, now I gotta figure it out again.
There you go.
You need more table space, Ben.
I took a bunch of photos. I'll have to find them. Yeah. Because my friend that I was in Egypt with challenged me. He's like, dude, I've been doing this under an microscope. We're trying to find, how a piezoelectric effect would go through these. I'm like, they're plates, man. They're just plates. But the piece I have is from a plate that's probably 1 meter wide. It's just a small chunk, but if you
All right.
look at the radius, it actually has that to it. So I'd be interested. Yeah, sure.
So if you can see here, we're at 800 hertz. We're in the resonance range. 0.037 amps on the input. 0.38 on the output, so slightly higher on the output. But you can see, and I'll measure the voltage in a second, and you'll see the voltage is actually increased on the output, which is why this is lighting up and spinning, and why this one isn't doing a dang thing.
What is the output of what? Sorry.
So the output is the
it's this coil in the middle. Okay, gotcha.
Yes. So the input is not hooked up to the coil at all. It's hooked up to the left channel of the stereo amp receiver. It's just getting the same amount of power, basically.
Sure. Your control.
Yes, my control. And it's something visual you can see happening instead of just numbers, which, you know, I think people need to see at this point, especially people who are more layman to this idea of free energy or skeptical.
Neither, but I am kind of layman in some degrees. Yeah.
But at any rate, you know, this is a good demonstration, and I'll show you the voltage in a second here.
393. Wow.
So as you can see, we have maintained our current, slightly increasing it actually. Sorry, I hit the power button. There we go. And the voltage on the input is 2 volts.
Your camera is tilted to the floor.
Oh, my bad. Can you see it now?
Oh.
Is that upside down?
Yeah, I can see that. It's a coil in the middle, right?
Oh, weird. Yeah, cut out.
It's a little dark, but
it cut out. Hold on 1 second.
Oh yeah, I think it froze. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is freezing. Freeze frame.
There we go.
All right.
There we go.
That's all better.
Right. So you can see I switched it to the volts.
Yep.
And 2 volts going in.
DC or AC?
This is AC. And 3.4 volts, because you can see the frequency at the top. See, it's picking up the frequency. When it measures the current, it can't pick up the frequency for some reason.
So that's coming out of the coil.
Yes.
Wow.
So it's maintaining the current and increasing the voltage output. And that's why we see this lighting up and spinning. And again, this one isn't doing a damn thing. But if I switch this from 800 hertz, you'll see the reference circuit actually start to do something if I increase the power enough, while this one on the output doesn't really do. It flips, right? It switches.
So are you pumping energy into it on the left side through the control or not? That's just
yes.
Okay.
So the way a stereo
you're saying when you go to 800 hertz, it switches to the greater load.
So the way a stereo amp
you have 2 loads, right? One is a greater and one's a lesser.
But they're not connected. So the way the stereo amp receiver works is there's one channel for right and one channel for left. The reference circuit has got the left channel, and the coil circuit has got the right channel, but they're not connected. They're just getting the same amount of power. Like think of a speaker.
Yeah.
Your speakers are going to be getting the same amount of power, and then it lets the software adjust the volume.
Correct. Yep. Got it.
So and you can see once I turn up the gain a little bit here, this fan will start spinning.
All right, the fan's a bigger load than a light is.
So you can see the fan's not spinning on the output because it's not getting enough power. Look at the voltage, 3.1 on the input,
wow,
1.3 on the output. Obviously, it's not getting enough power.
Right.
So it's outside its resonance range, meaning if we resonate the load at 800 with this system, 800 hertz, we're going to get more energy out than we put in.
Right.
I don't know about you guys. That's absolutely phenomenal. I think that's incredible.
No, that's huge.
Yeah,
it's building energy on its input, which is amazing.
This experiment should be taught in schools, in my opinion. You know, like this needs to be spread around.
Will
guys,
be, and that's what you're doing right now, Ben. You're teaching it to the world. With Sharon.
I do have a do-it-yourself guide. If anybody wants to try to replicate this stuff, and I suggest you do. If you have any questions, reach out. But it's very simple. It's not hard to set up. You know, I'm not an expert in any of this. That's why I come here for your guys' expertise.
I'm just
So,
an observer, but I love what I observe.
the frequency increases, so does your power consumption and your load, your ability to consume power or use the power.
The current usually is based on the. I think the current is based on the load in these systems. So
right,
you put
whatever your load
on
is, it can pull that much power, or it can pull no more than what it's able to pull.
Right. It's absolutely fascinating. And I love messing with the system. The next phase is going to be introducing a Bedini circuit to it, seeing if we, charge a battery with a battery.
Super curious. What is the coil made out of?
So the coil itself is a bifilar. It's got magnetic enameled wire, 24 gauge.
Okay.
And basically, I take a enameled wire, run it from one pole to another 24 times. So it produces 24 wires. Then I wind the coil with, twisting that up, wind the coil with that. And then I put 2 channels in series, 12 wires in one channel and the other 12 in the other channel. So basically you're producing 2 coils in this one design. You have a 1-to-1 ratio transformer, essentially is what that is. It's the simplest explanation.
But you're able to build power on that. That's impressive. That's really
yes, by all conventional means, this should not happen. 1-to-1 transformer ratios should not exist if you're going based off of academia, right? You have to have an asymmetry there for the transference of energy.
Well, you have a point there.
The Q is silent in quackademia, but
so regardless of the numbers of the output being more than the input, just having the voltage increase, regardless of the current.
So your gauges are the same, right? Okay.
It's super big. And I'm not doing anything special. I'm just doing what other people have done,
So your primary is getting 2 volts and your secondary is getting 3.5, and they're exactly the same wire thickness and length and everything.
Yes. And what it is mostly about, and this is my opinion, this is just my theory, but about the combination of the right frequency, resonance, and the geometry. Right, the field geometry of the coils compressing on top of each other in such a way where you actually produce a pseudo monopole.
Right, a 1-to-1 transformer shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. And that's why I try to tell people. They're like, "Oh, your multimeters are wrong," or blah blah blah. And regardless of what the multimeters are saying,
is this with or without the magnet?
This is there's no magnet in the center of this one.
And you still get 3.5 out.
Mm-hmm. And the coolest part is, and I'll do this in a second, we're going to do the Nunez method where I crisscross the output. And
the primary is being pulsed, stimulated per se. And the secondary is picking up on that stimulation along with whatever else is in the environment. That's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah, we're gonna hook it up this way, which is the Nunez method, the open circuit.
There's all kinds of radiation in the environment. Your light bulb on the ceiling, your fan running.
There are environmental effects for sure.
Even the sun or the moon or the ocean waves are a form of radiation. The ground has its own radiation. The stones, everything radiates at some level.
This thing in your pocket has its own radiation.
Right, the plastic rubber on your tire. It's all radiating. Everything has a frequency. All the colors have a frequency, and therefore you have just solid state oscillations in the matter itself.
That's why I was curious what the material is made from. That's really fascinating. Thanks for
Well, they're just 2 copper windings, the same length, same gauge, and he's getting 2 on the input and getting 3 on the output. That doesn't add up because if you wanted to step up the voltage, you would have the secondary would have more turn or more length of wire than the first wire. So the first wire would receive 2 volts. If you wanted the 3 volts on the second wire would have to be longer than the first wire. That's the fundamentals of transformers. If you want to bring the voltage up, he's not doing that. His wires are exactly the same length. He's still getting an extra volt on the second wire. I know that's sunk in slowly, but it's there.
The metals of the mesh. That was why I was asking about that.
What, the mesh?
Yeah, it's not just copper. There's
mesh in there, Ben?
No. The weaving of the wires. The
wires. No, they're all
the
copper.
meshing of the copper wires. Yes,
it's not just copper. That's what he was saying. Yeah.
The frame holding it is just plastic frame.
No. I'm talking about the wires themselves.
They're copper. They're insulated with enamel coating, so they don't.
So that's the question: is that enamel coating having a resonance effect?
It's just insulating the wires from touching each other and shorting each other out. Because then you wouldn't have the effect.
But for the actual resonance of the whole unit, you would have to add that atomic mass in to the frequency.
Well, if the wires are shorting out, you're not going to be able to send an electron from one end of the wire to the other.
I got you, Mike. We're just what Hans is saying for like the mass of the actual resonance of the coil to get it into coherence with the resonant frequency, it would then be the mass of the copper wires as well as the coating.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that was my only curiosity. Is there another effect happening with the coating? Because the coating has other micrometals and magnetic metals within it. So
no, the coating is no metals.
They're coating is straight insulated.
I thought what he had said earlier there was other materials involved. So
the enamel coating is a pure insulator.
Don't know.
No conductive properties at all.
Okay. Interesting.
That's the whole goal of insulating it with that, to keep the wires from conducting to each other so that you can make them close to each other without conducting.
And then put them into that vortex geometry, which then creates...
Without needing a plastic, like a regular plastic shield over a regular wire, and you want it to have more turns in a smaller space, you need to get rid of that plastic housing. It's just going to make a bigger space with that on there, right? So they figured out a way to insulate wires with just a thin coating, which is ingenious. It really revolutionized.
Thank you. I had no idea. Yeah, no, this actually makes a lot more sense.
I don't know how far back that goes either. Honestly, someone should do a full report on that whole thing with the enamel coating copper wires, when it all even started and everything. Because
probably when they needed to re-insulate the telegraph wires, I'd imagine.
Yeah, right. Like it goes way back. They used to do it with paper.
After they sold out for shit, we need to re-insulate this. What do we do? Enamel. Hey, what do you know? There's no conductivity.
It's definitely not a new technology. I don't think. It's not too new.
Ben, you still there?
I don't think it's going to go away either. It's a perfect way to insulate wires.
I got the Nunez method hooked up. I'm trying to tune into the exact resonant frequency, but it's almost there at 10 times the voltage output. You see it's in millivolts. So it's a very small amount, but you'll see with the Nunez method, it's actually increasing the volt. Like it's not 1 to 2 like in the regular stereo method I was using earlier, right? This is crisscrossing the output channel of the coil, where the input of channel B on the coil is actually, as you can see, the negative of the load, and then the positive of channel B is hooked up to the start. I'm sorry, the negative is hooked up to the start. So it's crisscrossed. You see the yellow and the black are crisscrossed. And right now we are resonating at a higher frequency range, and I can only go up so high with this. You can see it's almost at the end, but there's a pocket of energy here at 200 hertz, 20,200 hertz, and the voltage is significantly increased. So you have 15 millivolts on the input and 64 millivolts on the output. That's way more than double. And if I tune in a little bit more, I can find the 10 times voltage output. Now, again, if you have a powerful enough system, this is very, very dangerous because you can be outputting high voltage. The system is meant for high voltage, so be careful. If you do that, it'll start producing ozone.
As long as you can keep the current limited, you add resistance to the coil.
But
yeah, you can turn up your voltage.
Tuning in a little bit more might get us there. Let's see, 20.
If you want to go up in more voltage, you get a higher voltage supply. So you can add a resistor.
we're at 16, 17 millivolts, and then 83. And right there, we adjusted to 20,100 hertz. So there's some tuning in you can do to get it, but it seems like, at least for my system, it's a range. You tune into that initial start of it, and you can see the spike on the output. And then as you tune into the middle of the range, the height of the range or whatever, you can get it finely tuned.
If you're able to control your high voltage, the current behind the high voltage, you're going to have all kinds of phenomena in a coil and its field output.
I know you guys can't really hear it, but the fan is spinning faster on the output. So that's all I got for now.
Well, appreciate that, and that was freaking awesome, brother. Like, proven over unity and free energy right there.
Yes, exactly. This is a good proof of concept.
Great proof of concept. Real.
Occasionally, I'll see like 1 volt or a little like around there on the plugs that have no power on them in the walls. From the ground to the return line, you can see a few volts, but not from the using the hot leg. I'm talking from the ground to the neutral.
Well, real quick, I just want to show you. I kicked it down to the normal resonance range 800 that normally produces the over unity with the traditional setup. With the Nunez method, oh shoot, it froze again.
Camera down, camera down. Still got volume.
Basically, it's getting the same on the input and the output. Slightly less on the output. Look, my phone shut down. I got to restart it. It happens with this app sometimes. I'll show you in a second. But it is 45 millivolts on the input and 44 on the output. So, I mean, that's the 800 range that we normally get the over unity with the traditional stereo configuration, right?
Right, and yes, Nunez did, and then their channel got disappeared, essentially. Like, it's still there, but
then you should get a battery and a PWM and plug it into that coil. Like, that's easy thing to do. Like a 12-volt battery and a pulse width modulator. Hook the battery up to power the pulse width modulator with the battery. The pulse width modulators are like $10. They have knobs.
And he's back.
And you can change your pulse width. I think it's a square wave.
Oh, are you?
So as you can see, as you can see, it's 44 on the output and 45 on the input. And that's within the normal range that we get our over unity using the Nunez method, because we're resonating at a different range. We're expanding that cavity. We're increasing the cavity used to resonate that signal. So when you increase the cavity, you have to adjust the resonance, right?
I got a good experiment for if you want to try it.
Sure.
You're using 5 volts now?
Right now, we're in the millivolt range.
I mean, you've brought that coil up to 5 or more volts?
Oh, I brought it, way higher than 5 volts. I just don't want to blow the fans.
So
and the
12
capacitor.
volts
I blew the capacitor the other week.
So you're safe with 12?
Yeah, should be. I got
So like get a 12-volt battery, pulse the primary with it, and using a pulse width modulator. It's like $10. The PWM, the cheap one.
Send me a link to one on Amazon. I'll order it, and then we'll hook it up. Yeah, for sure. I'll do that because I got a couple of dead 9-volt batteries.
Let me finish though. That's not all.
Okay.
And then pulse the primary, and then put a high voltage diode on the positive end of where you gave it a positive. put that diode facing back the other way to the positive of your battery, the same battery. And you need to also protect the PWM with a diode. Yeah, you need to put another diode on the PWM, the same high voltage diode, just a high voltage diode to prevent the flyback of the primary from hitting the PWM circuit. 2 diodes. I'll draw it out. It's an easy one. Experiment. It won't burn anything. If anything, it will burn the PWM. $10 will bye-bye. Yeah.
We got Nathan back.
What's up, guys?
I think I just blew my fuse again.
I had to eat.
Right?
Welcome back,
Food
Nathan.
central.
Yeah, I'm about to do that in a minute.
Been up since 1 this morning working on geometry for that coil.
That's wild. See, this is how committed this team of individuals is, right? It's like
24/7.
work. Exactly. You always gotta remember to eat. Gotta eat. And gotta sleep. 2 keys.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So much work in between.
Yeah, I'm going to build a 9-layer coil, so it's got to be correct. And it's going to have, what was it? I think it was 7 different drive coils. So you can drive the 9 out of any of those 7 to the whole thing. So you'll have that, and then anyone that's hooked up with it will resonate with it, and then you hook them all up. So it'd be pretty interesting. So we'll see. I'm going to do it. I was telling everybody based on a Christian mandala is what it is. So I basically took the geometry of it and put it into a coil. And I've been sitting here doing my notes, putting in my lines exactly where it's going to be, how many coils in each one, you know what I mean? So
okay, show us close-ups of the blueprints. Oh, yeah, lucky.
You can see over here where I tell you, you know what I mean? Whether it's an individual double or it's 4 coils or whatever it is. Anyway, I worked out the geometry on my CAD program, so I know exactly where each wire is going, which one overlaps, which one flips 180. So it should be wild.
Yeah, he's ready to go. Nice.
Yeah. I'll start winding. I got a bunch of wire sitting in the cupboards behind me, man.
So how are you going to wind it? Are you going to use a bifiler or just individual?
There's going to be bifile in there. There's going to be individual stuff in there. It's going to be able to hook up. Basically, it's going to teach you everything that I wanted to know about a coil. And then I have another coil set up so that I can do individual things. So there's a square, and then there's going to be a pentagon, you know what I mean, octagon, you know what I mean, basically every shape there is, so I can find out exactly what's going on with each one, which one interacts with each one, before I build anything that looks like Gerald's coil.
You know what I'm thinking? We should also look into an infinity symbol shaped coil as well. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah. Absolutely, the Mobius coil for sure.
Yeah, a Mobius coil. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if anybody's done that, but that'd be interesting too. But yeah, you've got a lot of different designs and incorporating into the same thing, which is exciting to see. Maybe we should be able to test out a lot of different things.
I gotta send you guys these ones to try as well at some point. That was given to me by a former Navy guy that did some experimenting. but he says you got to use a bismuth aluminum wire amalgamate for it.
Huh.
What does that specifically do for it though?
It increases the magnetic current that goes through and fields of the coils.
Theoretically, with that, you could probably get way more than 200% efficiency.
Shout out.
Or at least higher than what I'm getting.
Oh, it's Rick. It'll come to me. But yes, I gotta get a hold of Rick and do another episode with him or have him on here to fully explain what he was doing with these and the results they got once he retired out of the Navy, because he can't really talk about what he did while with the Navy.
What are they going to do to him? He's out already.
NDAs. So you sign it, you can't really break it, or they will break you essentially legally because you signed it away.
Nice.
You know, I think the other day something called a family trust or a private trust, and this is for financial, wealth building. If you create a trust, nobody could tap into that. Not the government, not the IRS, and you could shelter yourself from taxes, because it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the family. And so if a person passes away, the government doesn't take 33%. It just it stays in the trust. So even if you have an NDA, nobody could liquidate your assets anymore, or even if they sue you, okay, even if they get a judgment, if you don't have anything to give, what are they going to do to you?
Or they throw you in jail because you broke the NDA.
So check it out, guys. This is the mandala I'm going to use. So you see each layer as you go around it.
That's pretty.
I like this.
Each layer will be a layer on the coil. So there's 9 altogether. So the idea is when you wind it, you can't cross the one below it. So everything has to be the one above it.
That's so cool. That's 9 layers of induction. Wow.
Yeah. So the one, if I'm not mistaken, this layer that goes in right here has 7 different coils on it. So 7 different openings where you could put it on there. So I'm going to use it to drive individual ones when I set it up. So I'll show you the kind of the geometry I worked out for it. You could see I put it on the CAD program. Let's see, go back this way. And each layer, as you can see it there, it's a bunch of layers put together. But I build them individually, and then that's it when in the end, right there. You can see the center one. Just all the different layers I put into this thing. So we'll do it this way. So you see it in the center, and then we pop out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It keeps going.
Wow.
Until you get back to that.
That is really detailed, Nathan.
I might open a portal or two, hey? Or at least create some sort of field that we see, feel, and...
Yeah, well, I've been working... Like I said, I've been up since 1 this morning working on the geometry of it.
It's
trying to get every layer laid out.
You covered every little bit of space possible, with layering them like that. You can't miss any, any dimension in that. I think you've got it all.
No, but the cool thing is when you look at it, you can actually see the inner circles of it.
Yeah.
Right? That's so wild.
They say there's 11 dimensions. So you've got right there, maybe 9 already.
Break on through the other 2.
Yeah.
Well,
probably have the whole set.
Yeah, you got Gerald over there showing off his coils every week, man. I gotta bring it up. You know what I mean? Gotta bring up the level over here on my side.
I feel it. That's what it's all about. And Oh man, that's interesting because it's like you're literally bringing ancient sacred geometry to life in new technology that's possibly very ancient technology.
Yeah, that's the best part of it. You know what I mean? What were they thinking when they did it? Did they purposely put this in there? You know what I mean? Is there a reason for it? That's what I want to know. It's gonna look cool
up
too.
A wormhole to the ancients, maybe. Who knows?
It'll be layered too, and I'm gonna try to do it in different colors so that it pops out a little bit.
No, Nathan, the implications behind your work with the mandalas and the coil is remarkable. Because think about it: if you were going to leave a blueprint for someone on how to recreate this technology, how would you do it? A mandala, right?
Well, they always said that math is universal language, and that's all that is. It's pure geometry.
Right.
And that's pure genius on your part, honestly. That's pure genius, Nathan. I'm loving your work. Every second you show me something new, it's remarkable. So well done, my friend.
Look forward to seeing it
action, yeah.
What kind of physical?
Have you guys watched any YouTube videos or Googled sigils on ancient castles? Each castle has a sigil, like a mandala. I'm wondering if we could get those sigils and create a coil that looks like these sigils. What would happen?
Oh, that's a great idea. And like, because there's so many different alchemical sigils and stuff. So I definitely need to turn some of the transmutation sigils because they do actually look like coils. So that
What was that? What we were just reading about that French guy Fulicini or whatever. He was mixing alchemy with medieval architecture. So that really plays in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they're leaving any blueprint, the ancients, it's in that sigil. That's the key to it. I mean,
passed down whether the recent generations wear
coils out of Solomon's sigils. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, because that's not a particular language. It's it's a shape, it's an image. So that would be easy to pass on rather than a textbook that's in a language that could be lost through time. Yeah. But images, those stay.
Yeah, I agree.
What do they say? Image is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
There's mandalas under the Viyamanas that are on temples in India, and you see the actual Viyamana, and then right under it, directly under it, is a mandala. Yeah. So that would be something to recreate right there and find out what the resonance patterns are.
Yeah, maybe that's the blueprint for it. Huh.
That's cool.
Great.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to try to do some of these coils designs and create new ones and see what happens for sure.
Well, I want to get the inside coil and one of the outside coils to be perfect to each other so that the exact amount of wiring, so the capacitance the same. If that's right, then I can hook them up together and let them resonate together, just like a Tesla coil. And then I can create that vortex in the center and let it flow. So have an outside, have an inside, and let it flow.
And with those unique geometries, with those unique geometries, you're going to be creating different compiling field geometries that are going to compress the different the poles in different ways.
Yeah, we'll have to, when I wind it, to see how much is on there each time, and calculate it and see if it comes out right. See if they're even close enough to get a resonance.
I really interested in the time dilation factor. Nathan, if you do this, get a two stopwatches, put one in the vicinity and put one outside and see if there's a difference between them. If there's a difference, it means you are creating, either if
time dilation.
If it's inside, you're in the future. If outside, if the inside is faster, like in the vicinity of the coil, it means like you're resonating time at a higher oscillation, which you're in the future pretty much, versus the outside world. But if it's the other way around, it means you're like, the future is going faster than you are. So just, but I would assume it's the inside would be faster than the outside. I mean, just,
Yeah.
an interesting thing to experiment with. And just
I think that you're right.
a little stopwatch. Don't use your cell phone, because cell phones they're connected to the network, so they self-adjust. Yeah, they'll even if you play with them, they'll still adjust.
Good
Right.
call.
But if you use a stopwatch that's not connected to any, Wi-Fi source, or just a regular little one, like how the coaches have in their hand, like the little one with the battery, those work really well. Yeah,
Or an hourglass too, even like a small hourglass.
Yeah.
If you have two of them the same size.
yeah, but that won't tell you exactly how much the time difference is.
No.
Yeah,
No.
you'd want,
Yeah.
I guess, at least digital. But yeah, even just 2 actual watches, right?
Or two
Analog
watches.
watches.
But like they can't be digital stuff, like connected to anything. Like you can't time it on your computer or your TV.
Can't be an iWatch, that's for sure.
Yeah, they have to be mechanical.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
Let's try it.
let me tell you.
Analog.
I was thinking those 2 coils behind me right there.
Something
They're
like
about 20 kilohertz off of each other. So I'm going to actually take a little bit of wire and put it down the coil and get it to change to be exactly the same. I'm going to see if I just can't turn on one with the other one from across the room.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll just resonate them together. And then one will be a pickup, one will be a drive. And we'll see how many light bulbs I can light up in my garage. I got a whole pack of them. You know what I mean? For the 4S and 4-foot ones.
Yes. Oh God, yes. That's like my dream, is just to have like my room, all my setup lit up with the resonant energy of Tesla coils.
Yeah, it'd be cool. If they don't work, I'll just build another one and then do it. So
try again. That's all we can do. But that's what real science is.
I could change the resonance in them though. Just add a little bit of capacitance here, take a little away there, we're good to go. Yeah, it's just I do the same thing with my gravity flyer. That's how my Tesla coil works. It's specially built for that. It's not average by any means. So
I was muted. But yeah, there's so many specifics and keys that you've discovered and like figured out and engineered into the device, and reproducing it from Alexi's original design that the average person just has no idea, and they'll watch like one debunk video and be like, oh yeah, that's it, instead of actually trying to put any work out to understanding what they're actually witnessing.
yeah, they don't have any idea what's in that thing. There's a lot of scientists out there that go, oh, I looked at it, and then that was it. I just didn't, whatever. And it's like, dude, go somewhere else. Don't even talk about it if you don't know what you're doing. I don't talk about your guys' stuff because I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, that's okay, man. That's what the coil's for. Once I get it right, it'll be this, another solid state version for me, better than the one that I already have. So, you know what I mean? That's kind of the reason to do it, because I want that coil to lift and I want to put it in a frame, kind of like this one here, and we will just rock on. You know what I mean? We'll get another UFO deal here, bro.
Wow, you got that all ready to go. That's awesome.
Oh, dude, this
in that
my little fun project over here. I was telling people earlier I failed on it. I absolutely miserably failed on it. So,
dude, Nathan's garage is like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Oh my god.
There's so much cool stuff in here.
That's amazing.
Literally, you could sit in here for weeks and never get bored. And then when you do, I'll just come in and light it up. You know what I mean? They give you a show. I have to grab the guitar and start playing and hook up my high voltage to it, and then let it rip.
Got to do a Science of Sound episode together on this.
Any
Some
news on
live
that solid
jamming.
state sand battery? Heard about it a few months back. I'm not sure.
Was that like a kinetic battery, sand battery, or?
I'm wondering if he's maybe referring to something like the Hutchinson battery, or Mike Faraday or Mike from Faraday Research was on here presenting his solid state device, which was amazing.
Yeah, it's his graphene battery. Not sure to be.
Yeah, and Nancy through one of these YouTube, like the streams. They're an extremely interesting couple. Like, but my God, like these two are. It just feels they're not from this world. They're out of this world, from a different world. And quite honestly, like Nancy scares me. I don't know why. She really does that.
She's an intimidating lady. That's that one.
Yeah, like the stuff that they were talking about, like I don't know. Like I think they've set up beacons in different where the those towers for telecommunications are. Somehow they get different signals by taking some of that frequency from the antennas. They created their own grid, something like. But
interesting.
Yeah, and it's kind of, you have to understand how networking works, like the grid, for you to understand what they, I probably understood 5% of what they're talking, but that's what I got out of it. Like they tapped into the telecommunications grid somehow, and that's where they're using part of their energy. That's how they're funneling that energy through their system. Like using it as a big Tesla coil to how Tesla imagined, like the power stations, but they're using that. But I don't know how they're using that. I did a lot of research on this, and it makes sense. It could be done, but it would take so many years for somebody to go in, around the country to set up these little, beacons to connect them. And they don't have to be anything big, no more than bigger than.
Maybe their Johnny balls they were talking about has to do with this, I'm thinking.
Maybe, I don't know, but they have a cool, whole grid system. They can tap into anybody's, phone. They can tap into anybody's, these two, I think, are one of the geniuses. And they, like John Hutchison plays that he's, doesn't know what he's doing, like like a wacko dude right now. But no, this is, I think, it's just a front. I really think it's a front. But the guy is brilliant. He was trying to send energy from the United States to Giza, to the pyramids. You know that? Like, he had an experience.
I had heard about that one. I know that he remade the Ark of the Covenant in Japan, and that was pretty epic, but it was like a private project, so it's like you can't really talk much about it.
Well, the project was, I don't know what search I went in, but he had his work hidden through a website called Flickr. The videos are like his secret projects are in there, but it took me about a week to dig into the work for me to find it. It's a weird website. I don't recommend anybody going in there because there's other like really weird things in it. But he had his research hidden there.
Really?
Being hosted through.
Sorry, he had it hidden where?
There's a website called Flickr, and or something like that. If I find it again, I'll search for it again.
Send it to me. I might have to scrub through it, and I'll make sure I wear my goggles. So.
But but I'm telling you, he was creating a communications line, a private communications line between lab and there was a girl in Egypt was trying to pick up on the signal through the Pyramid of Giza. It was that.
Wow.
So you know, yeah, very cool. Whatever he was doing, I don't know the research to it, but he tapped into something out of this world. Let's put it that way.
I was watching the Hutchinson's wife's channel. She has a YouTube channel, and she put some of the stuff on there. It's a really clear video of the stuff lifting up in the air. And then as she's talking, here he comes in the background in his 90. And I was tripping out. I'm like, dude, this is more than just a front here. Okay, this is more than just he's crazy. There's something more to that. So I thought I'd tell you that. But some of the best videos I've ever seen at clearest on the stuff lifting. Not his 90, but the
now I remember.
stuff.
I actually searched through the people that videos, his old videos, and there's a person there that I followed from that person. You know, I did a search for me to find. It's like he embedded his videos. You know, like really you have to hunt for them, like deep. I don't know.
Yeah, even in his own website where I subscribe to for like $34 or whatever, he has a whole archive, but a lot of it's mixed in with just nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, now that you said that, I think he did that intentionally.
I think so too. I mean,
there's dozens and dozens of pages of the stuff, and you really have to dig deep to get the good stuff. But yeah, that's. I mean, he really was a brilliant, person.
I think he still is, but he just
is yeah.
Yeah, or he pretends that he's whatever trans now or cross dresses and all that stuff.
No, it's a character he plays, is what they say. He has no opinion on sexuality officially. It's just a character he plays while on camera, according to him and Nancy.
All right.
I was just being whimsical. I don't know.
Well, he really got into his role.
No comment.
It doesn't matter. He's a good scientist. I like him.
No comment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what matters. And
he says he does it to troll the trolls.
That sounds like him too. That does sound like.
So he
That's cool.
So he, I think he does this because let's say the government looks into him, they're just gonna say, "Oh, he's just a crazy whack," and so
they probably know better.
Yeah,
they know how smart he is and what he did. They're hoping he doesn't continue to do it. That's it.
As long as he doesn't make people disappear, then he's all right.
He was going around. I think it was Florida, healing one of those lakes that had. Yeah, but he was putting frequency into the water, and supposedly it was.
All right, Ben, don't do that.
Oh, we
can't talk about that stuff.
Well, anyways, he was doing different experiments with frequencies, and he was trying to help out. That's all. And I'm not sure the details on some of the different stuff that he was doing in that front, but I heard positive things, and I found a couple of videos in his archive. If anybody's interested, his website.